Hey everyone, this is Kevin the Apptrepreneur, and if any of you have joined me on any of my live streams, you will know I love video games, and I love video game hardware. I'm always interested in what video game hardware could do, and I'm always a little excited whenever a new competitor enters the video game console market. Now granted, they don't succeed a lot. Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo, these are the established dogs, and even Steam, who is probably the biggest streaming platform out there for PCs and smartphones and tablets. When they decided to make hardware, they didn't get very far before they ultimately failed. But could one of the richest companies in the world actually do that? And are they planning to do that? According to Kotaku, over the past few months, the wildest rumors in the video game industry circles haven't involved the PlayStation 5 or Xbox 2. The most interesting chatter has been centered on a tech company that's been quietly making moves to tackle video games in a big way: Google, the conglomerate that operates our email, our internet browsers, and much more. And also this, this device, the operating system, Android. I was going to do a much snappier joke, but I think the fact that I forgot what it was called briefly means we should probably just move on. We haven't heard many specifics about Google's video game plans, but what we have heard is that it's a three-pronged approach. 1, some sort of streaming platform. 2, some sort of hardware. And 3, an attempt to bring game developers under the Google umbrella, whether through aggressive recruiting or even major acquisitions. That's the word from 5 people who've either been briefed on Google's plans or heard about them secondhand. So, nothing confirmed. Just need to make that clear. Google has been exploring video game initiatives for most of the decade. In 2014, the company was reportedly poised to acquire Twitch before Amazon swooped in. Rumors, and by the way, I want to say I'm glad Google didn't get Twitch because they already have YouTube, and I think there needs to be competition in those areas. Rumors for years that Google was also attempting to launch an Android-based console similar to Amazon's Fire TV, but that didn't happen. In 2016, the Google incubated studio Niantic scored one of the biggest gaming successes of the last decade with Pokemon Go, but it had spun out into an independent company the year before, and Google has a long history of hiring game developers for projects that never quite materialize. In recent months, however, the chatter about Google has gotten louder. At the Game Developers Conference in March of this year, Google representatives met with several big video game companies to gauge interest in its streaming platform, which is codenamed Yeti. Let's see here. Sources said the existence of Google's Yeti was first reported by the website The Information earlier this year. Google also took meetings at E3 in Los Angeles a few weeks ago, those sources said, and from what we've heard, the company is looking not just to woo game developers to the Yeti service, but to buy development studios entirely. Google did not return for a request for comment. So what is this streaming platform exactly? Like NVIDIA GeForce Now, the Google service would offload the work of rendering graphics to beefy computers elsewhere, allowing even the cheapest PCs to play high-end games. The biggest advantage of streaming, as opposed to physical discs or downloads, is that it removes hardware barriers for games. Games like Call of Duty can reach a significantly better audience if players don't need an expensive graphics card or console to play them. This is interesting. As one person familiar with Yeti described it, imagine playing The Witcher 3 within a tab on Google Chrome. Sounds too good to be true, doesn't it? Or sounds too much like the promise of other streaming platforms like OnLive, which failed because of lag and video compression that reduced quality. Many of the rumors we've heard need to be presented with some skepticism until we actually see them in action. One pie-in-the-sky idea I've heard floated, for example, is heavy integration between Yeti and the Google-owned YouTube. Imagine you're playing a game and you run into a tricky boss or don't know how to solve a puzzle. Instead of opening your laptop or checking your phone for a guide, you could press a button to activate an overlay on your screen that queues up a YouTube walkthrough of the game you're playing, which, by the way, that's kind of what I do. When I get stuck in a game, I just look up YouTube videos now. Whispers have been quieter about Google's hardware, whatever that might look like, but the rumors we've heard suggest that it will link up with the streaming service in some way. We're not sure whether Google is looking to compete with the technical specs of the next PlayStation and Xbox, or whether this Google console will be the cheaper low end, relying on the streaming service to pull the weight. Those are the rumors currently floating around in the game industry circles, where people are growing more excited about streaming every week. So anyway, now they're going to talk about streaming for a while. And I guess we do need to discuss the streaming aspect of this because, again, it's never actually successfully happened on a console. I mean, we have streaming aspects of gaming consoles, and some people buy their games through downloads. But in terms of can we actually stream our games, we have not had much success. Everything we've had that works is download. The most prominent streaming service we have is PlayStation Now, where they stream the games to you. You don't download them. And if you look up any reviews, heck, you can Google the reviews for PlayStation Now, you know that it doesn't work very well. And of course, the other thing is that the reason a digital-only console has never happened is because it's simply not feasible. It's not yet anyway. Someday, maybe, but it's just not. And people who say, oh, no, it totally is, I download my games all the time, you probably live in a place with good internet. Not everything is like LA and New York City or Florida. There's places like Virginia and, Kentucky and all these other states where the internet infrastructure is not really that strong. What's more, the whole Japanese culture, which is where most of those games are made, they are not into this whole streaming thing nearly as much as we are. Heck, they've never even really embraced personal computers. For most people over there, personal computers are like glorified typewriters. It's just not a thing. And that is a market you don't want to alienate because, again, they make some of the best games. Now, and again, I want to point out that everyone who has tried to make one of these systems streaming only has failed. The Oyo was, digital only. It failed. The Xbox One was originally going to be digital only and have huge DRM. Totally bombed. Steam released several incarnations of their device. Did not work. Now, eventually, one of these things will work. I'm not saying it never would. And if anyone's going to do it right, it's going to be either Google or Apple. Even though Apple tried video game consoles with the Pippin, I think they are in a much healthier position to try to do a game console now. Now, is this true? I don't know. I'm going to guess it is, but I don't think it's going to be the game console we think it is. I think they're going to start out small. They will probably have a game service, and it'll be integrated into Chrome and Android and all of these Google devices. And the games probably, we won't be seeing Call of Duty or Mario Odyssey or Halo anytime soon. We'll probably be seeing like Shovel Knight and Mighty Number 9. Games that don't require the huge graphics and the huge horsepower that is required. Thus, you can safely play them streaming over a browser, and that could give their service some chance to kind of slowly break in, and people can still have their consoles for the more high-end stuff. That's what I think it's going to look like if it happens at all. But I now have to ask you, what do you guys think? Do you think this is going to happen? What do you think of a streaming-only device, and would you get it? Keep in mind, Amazon Fire TV tried to do games streaming exclusively, and while some people play them, that's not a huge selling point. So if Amazon has a hard time doing it, how can Google succeed? I would love to know what you guys think. So comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe. If you enjoy the videos I make, consider becoming a Patreon member. It's totally optional, of course. But even as little as $1 a month goes a long way to helping the channel run smoothly. As always, blame responsibly. Have a good one.